Happy longest, happy love. I've been thinking of your resilience and tenacity over the last 5 years, what you've gathered, others' audacity, and how our unknown future nears. So here's to you, my dear. Cheers. See, my honey limbs lovely isn't one to fall for some charlatan or a mediocre magician. I had to reach deep in my bag of tricks for this one. Anyone who knows me well enough to know that I hate the song Jesse's Girl. So this is Jesse's Boy, spelled with a Y, like my dear friend. Finn Bomani's favorite housewife is Vicky Gumbleton. Finn is our dog. He watches The Real Housewives of Orange County, Bravo TV series cuddled up to my wife, which is a small miracle if you knew Finn when we first got him. See, many moons ago, when I first got Finn, I was told if he went back to the shelter from whence he came originally, they'd have to put him to sleep. He seemed to be so playful and easy to talk to while he was still awake. I couldn't let that happen. Since the shelter, he'd been with a couple, and when they split up, neither party could keep him. So they gave him to one of the most caring souls I've ever met. And when my friend had exhausted all of his funds moving due to neighbor complaints about barking, he could only afford a place which reluctantly accepted pets of any kind. So when that place got complaints about barking as well, my friend was completely tapped. Then Bomani had to fill out a change of address form with the post office to ensure all of his fashion magazines were properly forwarded. When I got him, we went everywhere together, but my wife despised his being too rough, violent even, with her aging basset hound Cash. His right front paw print forever rests on my bicep above a line from the man in black. This new man in mostly black seemed to only like men at first, which was exasperating to my wife, not to mention the growls and shade he would cast in her direction. Finn and I would hike where there wasn't much shade, all over the desert in Spanish Springs, drilling lines for the crucible and chasing rabbits. I never caught any rabbits, but Finn seemed to learn his lines swimmingly over time to the point of mastery. On one particular study session, we went out for a really long hike, a very long time, several hard miles in the heat, on foot. And upon our return, he was exhausted to the point of early bed in the closet cave I made for him. He was done running lines for the day. I didn't get my lucky rabbit's foot either. By the following morning, his joints were extremely sore, and my wife stooped down in loving kindness near him to wish him a good morning. In his pain, he lashed out, and even without making physical contact, he still hurt her enough in other ways to be banished into the yard with a questionable return to the family. We both almost got the boot that day. In a last-ditch effort, I threw up a Hail Mary and went outside to talk some sense into Finn. We prayed together. I explained that he had to be nice to his new mom or he couldn't live here anymore. That I loved him fiercely, but that it did not matter. If he didn't straighten up his act, he'd have to fill out another change of address form. And no one likes to wait in line at the post office. I promised to never hold him in rehearsal that long ever again, and explained there was a new sheriff in town, and she demanded respect. She was also never one to back down from a fight either. I went on in my lecture, as I tend to do when I'm on a roll. He listened intently, and to me, the unbiased, his head nods, smiles, and focused eyes, all signs seemed pointing to indicate that he understood completely. Although he never liked wearing a costume, he did learn his lines swimmingly, and his blocking, and his new favorite castmate. So when COVID hit, and she was working from home, he could be inside for the vast majority of the day with the TV on, Fairly constantly is background noise, and all signs seem to indicate he understood completely. Small miracles happen every day. Every creature responds to love eventually. Those are important things to remember when life kicks us, bites us, and puts us out. Just as I remember and eventually learned to love playing third fiddle to my Ruby and Vicky Gumbleton. Maybe if the first couple would have let him watch Housewives from the beginning, none of this would have ever happened. But here we are. I'm grateful for it. And my mama's boy is pretty happy too. But not as happy as me for having prayed with Finn that day. Not as happy as me for having written those vows for that day. Not as happy as me with jazz in the background, love in the foreground, and a magical musicality dripping from my soulful tongue when I say, thank you for helping me tolerate Jesse's Girl. Thank you for being Jesse's Girl. Where can I find a woman like that? Right here in front of me, right here beside me, right here with me. Happy anniversary.